So let me start. Maybe a few questions to the audience. Anyone who barely know anything about Gen AI or AI concepts? Okay, any AI engineers? Okay, and maybe some SQL people, Databricks people, pure data. Okay. Uh, actually, I would say that 2 years ago I was on your place, so don't stop believing. Uh, okay, so time for some sponsors. And now let me introduce myself. My name is Wojciech Nowak. I work at Raiffeisen Tech as Gen AI Tech Lead. I have two specializations. The first are modern data architectures like data fabric or data mesh, and the second of my specialization is making AI agents or AI use cases production grade. And today I'd like to talk about one of the use cases I'm building together with the team I'm leading. The use case is the chatbot that interacts with the tabular data. And let me maybe start with why I'm here, because that's not that obvious. And you see, the big change of the world of our life is coming, and those change or those wave that is coming is named AI. And to imagine the impact it would have on our lives, you should compare those two photos. On the first photo, you can see the Fifth Avenue of the New York City, Easter morning in the 1900s, and on the photo there are almost only the hackneys pulled by the horses. And on the other side, you will see the second photo. This is the very same place, very same season of the year, 13 years later, but on the photo you can see the cars, and if you see carefully, there is only one horse and one hackney that's being pulled by that horse. So the change that is coming, and we will start actually noticing, would have really big impact on our life. To have something more up to date, you can imagine how the life without internet looked like, right? In order to do some payment, you had to go to the bank. In order to do shopping, you had to go to some shop. Right now, it's not the case. And in a similar way, or maybe even bigger, the AI will impact our lives, not only professional lives, not only the way we work, but also our private life, the way we are organizing lives. So, for example, you can imagine then in some time you would have your personal assistant, and in order to go to the hair salon, you would ask those digital assistant of yours, let's name him Henry, to book you a place. And this Henry, this digital assistant, would contact with the digital assistant of the hair salon and book a place for you, book a slot for you. In this very similar way, probably shopping will be done, and many more. So that's the change. One slide for the place I'm working. This is the Raiffeisen Tech. This is the group of banks in Central Europe, and what we are doing there, we are developing the CRM system. Oops. So what we are doing, we are one of the company I work in, Raiffeisen Tech, okay, even I can do like that. Okay, so what we are doing, Raiffeisen Tech in Poland is building the CRM system that support the sales of digital and banking products. And at the same time, in the bank, the AI transformation program is happening, and it has two pillars. The first pillar is AI Pioneer program, which aims to actually develop the AI competencies of the employees, and the second is AI Center of Excellence program. And within this program, a set of use cases or set of teams has been defined that support the digital transformation. And I have this pleasure to lead one of those teams that actually, as I mentioned, supports two things. It supports the data transformation That means that we are building the data products together, and we are exposing those data products for some analytics, but also we are supporting the CRM system in the AI transformation, where we are building the different AI products. The first two of the products are the products we build together with our Viennese colleagues. The last two are our, let's say, our job, are the products we did. If you would like to learn about this data mesh, this book is highly recommended. There were also a few articles on Martin Fowler blog. But if you want some resources regarding the Gen AI, there is barely anything yet, because it's quite a new topic. No one knows how to do it. So it's like it's shaping a lot now. And as I mentioned, one of the use cases, in my opinion, most interesting one, is this chatbot. Ask your data chatbot or ask your tabular data chatbot, and you see what's characteristics here, the value about the sales, the valuable data about the sales have some structural form. That means that these are classical tables. These are not the files like in many AI use cases, but the data that holds value are stored within the tables. So that is, and especially when we started building the chatbot, was something new for us, and not only for us but also for the Gen AI, different Gen AI use cases. Few words about the chatbot, or about this use case we are building. So it aims to work as a junior colleague or junior assistant to the relationship managers, for the people who actually do sales. And also what it aims to do is to provide 360-degree view into sales related data. What we also did during the, let's say, this discovery phase, we had a lot of conversation with the business, and we discovered that there are a few demands that are kind of raised against the chatbot. Chatbot should analyze the sales activity. What does it mean? That it should kind of be able to say what actions have been taken against a given customer. Maybe also, not maybe, but also do some performance analysis. So for example, what of our products are the best performing in terms of profitability, but also which of the customers we have provide us the biggest profitability. And finally, the holy grail, we didn't achieve it yet, but that's on our future agenda, is to do customer evaluation and propose some next steps and some cross-selling opportunities, answering the question, kind of open questions, and analyzing if there is some space to grow an engagement, or maybe due to some, I don't know, news that's being published somewhere, or our internal data, it's able to advise us if we should offer some product to the client. So after analyzing those business expectations, what we did research, not only business one but also technical one. As I mentioned, we discovered that most of the data are tabular, and based on those findings, we have built an MVP. Very briefly about MVP, some assumptions, the goals and principles that we are trying to guide. So we want to actually test the core concept. First of all, we wanted to test if we would be able to effectively communicate with the tabular data. We wanted to experiment with the prompts, because at the time what we did is actually we didn't know a lot. As I mentioned, I was data engineer, and the team was started being built. So we wanted to also learn a bit about how different prompts impact the behavior of the chatbot. Also, what we did, we wanted to explore the agentic system, even because the hype about agentic system started raising. So we decided to give the chance to this approach. Few design principles, obviously the open and flexible architecture. That was the must for us, because the MVP had to grow. We wanted to easily swap, test, and try out different prompts. We wanted support for different query engines because we didn't know what as a kind of a query engine we would use, and the same refers to the different databases. Also, we wanted try out as many things to learn, test, because we didn't know how the final version of the chatbot would look like. We still don't know. The direction, or let's say this window of possibilities is getting more narrow and narrow, but it's still kind of trying to identifying different architectures and different possibilities. So here is the simplified architecture of the MVP. There is some chatbot engine that's based on the agentic workflow. We've got an LLM model. The communication is being done over the HTTP, like standard stuff in terms of this LLM thing. There is the query tool. In a moment I will explain what it is. And the query tool communicates with the storage system. And all of this happens within the React loop. So for those who doesn't know those concepts of GenAI, let me start a very brief tutorial, and let me start with the theory. What's AI agent? What's all the hype about? So the documentation, the different things actually define four capabilities of AI agent. It is able to plan out a set of tasks, also break down complex question into smaller ones, choose some tool, and actually also not only choose the tool, but figure out and pass the proper parameters to that tool if it's necessary. That tool might be the query engine, as I mentioned. It could be some search engine, some calculators, on anything like that. In a moment, I will also describe what exactly the tool is and how does it work. And also it has this memory module. So that means that we can ask some contextual question about some results we got in the previous interaction within given session. But what all of this here in practice mean? Because in my opinion this is very formal. So let's analyze this one by one. Given the use and query, let's analyze the planning capabilities. Let's assume that the question is to provide some top clients. Which are the top clients this quarter and what products should we pitch to them, right? So that's relatively complex question. And in order to execute them, it should be planned. Some actions should be planned and executed accordingly. So agent plans steps first, then execute one of the queries, interpret the results, and either suggest or takes the decision whether it should, what should be the next actions. Then the other capability is to break down the complex questions. For example, we can ask the chatbot or some agent to show the sales by region and top products in each region. So again, the agent should be able to split query, get regional sales, and then get top product per region. Finally, the tool use. We can ask what is the average revenue in Q1. And by asking this question, the agent should be able to generate SQL query. It should be able to pick up proper tool, and also it should be able to pass some proper parameters and run the tool. Finally, the memory module agent recall the past output. For example, you earlier showed the top clients. For example, in this question, what's their profitability or risk churn or anything else, or maybe when we had the last meetings with them. So this is what agent does under the hood, and how that kind of a simple agent look like, because the flow under the hood is very simple. There is some user question, there is some loop that's being happen, and the first thing that happen is user ask the question. The question is being passed to the LLM, as we do with, I'm pretty sure all of you use the ChatGPT, right? So the interaction is very same. And even the GPT uses some tool, for example, for searching the web under the hood now. So the agent decides based on those user question whether it can answer the question directly, or maybe it should use the tool. If it need to, the request in order to answer the question, the tool call is necessary, then the tool call happens. And then again, having those user question and having that context from the tool, it could be data about the weather. For example, the agent is able to decide, for example, if the question was, what's the weather in Stockholm? Then the agent would decide at this step, okay, I know what's the weather in Stockholm, I will now be, and in some time, and I have this context now, so I can generate a response. But for example, if the question was, where is hotter or where is sunnier in Stockholm, or maybe in, I don't know, in Madrid, then the second call with the argument this time Madrid needs to be done. So agent actually orchestrates and decide based on his reasoning capabilities whether it should tool the call in order to ask for this additional context or not. And then if it decides that if the agent decides that it has all the information, the user the response is being generated and returned to the user. And what are those tools exactly? How does it work under the hood? So you see, now it's not that a problem, because that tools, whatever they are, have been popular, gained a lot of popularity, and have been integrated with lots of LLMs. I'm pretty sure any, let's say, mainstream LLM has it. Maybe the smaller doesn't have. But the problem was that model was trained on some data set which was snapshot, for example, for 2023, while it was trained in 2024. That means that if we were asking about some data that or for some fact that happened in 2025, the agent would respond, sorry, I don't know, or sorry, I do not have the access to real data, if we would ask the agent for the IBM stock price. And someone has came into idea to the function calling mechanism that is actually the backbone of what happens, backbone of those tools, right? Because the function calling is the mechanism that's backbone, that's the heart of the any tools that can we pass to the agent. So there is some application, and together with the question, or maybe even if we are defining the application, we telling our agent that, hey, I have this function for providing me the current price of the stock. You can use it. It takes the argument which is a ticker of given company. And please, given that, please tell me what's the current stock price of IBM. So agent, having those two information, having those contexts that he can use, those function asks us, or in this case application, okay, in order to answer this question, I need to have the output of this function. So what we are doing, or some code abstraction, what namely the agent does, is calling those get stock price function on the backend side. Then the application returns the output of this function to the LLM, and LLM has the context it desired and is able to provide us the answer for our question. So you can imagine this agent as a very simple, as you all are data people, so you can imagine this agent thing as kind of orchestrator that uses the computational and reasoning capabilities of LLM. And last but not least, I think, what is text to SQL and how does it work? So it consists of 3 steps. The first step is query synthesis, the second is query execution, and obviously the answer generation. As an input of the first step, we are passing the request and also some additional context, namely the table and some description of this table. And we are asking also, obviously, please generate SQL that answer that question based on the metadata and the table description. Then SQL generated by the model is being executed by some tool, by some function. And again, this connection to the database is being done on application side, but is being orchestrated by this agent thing, and returns some result t based on those query that was generated here. And finally, having this output, this table output t, and also the request, the question that was initially passed, the answer is being generated. And this is the end of tutorial of those concepts. And let me now revisit the chatbot architecture. So this is it. Again, we have different agentic workflows, and by the configuration we can add some different domains. The domains are tables, individual tables, or some set of tables. Thanks to the usage of certain framework like LangChain, or in our case Llama Index, we can check out or test different models, also different model versions. That's easy to switch also through the configuration, because we don't have to have it fixed in the code. Again, different tools which can be programmatically done. Very simple stuff. Actually, I had 3 slides about those tools, but I decided to remove them because it was like pure code, so I thought you might not be interested. But if someone will be interested in how to define such tools, you can reach me out either through this message, through this app we got, or on LinkedIn, or anyway. I will obviously share the code, because these are really easy, simple few lines of code. Again, different storage system can be connected through some simple function, and this React and reasoning loop that happens that actually works and is being orchestrated by this chatbot engine. So that was the MVP, and a bit about the performance, because we got quite promising results. So the accuracy was 19% for the aggregation query for the queries that required multi-dimensional aggregation. What does it mean? It means that we kind of gather set of questions. In this case, it was 20 questions at the moment, which we considered somehow reasonable. Few examples: which product generated the highest profit overall, or what was the top earning product in a specific year, quarter, or month, depending on the question. What are the top 3 products or clients by earning in given time period? Again, it could be like lifetime, it could be year, 2 years, few quarters. That kind of, thanks to this reasoning capabilities, chatbot is surprisingly good, is able to surprisingly good generate the SQL questions that are being executed, and similar revenue-based matching or ranking queries. And since then, some time has passed. We've been iterating, we've been developing those MVP. And right now we are going towards production. We integrated different data domains, like profitability data. These are the data we described within the I already mentioned about previously about the MVP. Also meetings and opportunities data to be able to analyze different activities. We, let's say, updated, or we went for more mature approach for the evaluation, because the previous one, this one, was done manually, which means that we have these 20 questions, we had the expected output, and we compared them by hand. But in this production, let's say version that is going to be in production in 2 months, now it's in development. What we did, yeah, we tested out these new approaches. Also, we implemented observability because in data science project, what's crucial to have the really close feedback loop as with the business stakeholders and users. Because I'm not sure, but because funny fact is that more than 90% of different use cases, especially in the data science use cases, were kind of a were finished or closed after the MVP phase because they didn't uh, demand the business expectation, or people didn't know how to make them how to productionize them, and so on. Again, we built different versions of query engines and compared them, and finally we went for the we have this chatbot on the development environment on some generated data. Before we will deploy it on production, we are working on two more things. We need to obviously integrate the production data, which is in such complex environment and regulatory, in terms of regulatory, some concerns. That's the thing. And also we need to prepare the integration of our service with the CRM system. Very briefly about evaluation, what we did, but quick overview of I believe most important flows of the evaluation. So the first flow is automated and statistical metrics, and it was quite important some time ago, but now due to the way the LLMs are responding and how they are doing it, what they are capable to do, it's not that much important because it compared kind of a not especially facts, but also whether the response have some logical sense. The second, let's say, type of the evaluation is LLM as a judge. So we are asking the LLM to evaluate the output, providing expected output and providing the output you got from our chatbot. Some safety related evaluation to assess robustness, whether it can do some unintended behavior, and so on. And finally, this user feedback and table testing is also kind of an evaluation on the real user. How does such LLM as a judge work? In details, we have some database which contains some facts. We have set of questions, and obviously the grant true. The grant true are the answer or some fact. So we are expected the answer of the LLM should have. It is being passed to the evaluation engine. The evaluation engine actually does two things. The first is to answer the question, and the second is to evaluate the question. So there are two different calls with two different prompts. We are evaluating different metrics. Evaluation prompt, we starting with you are imperial judge, so please check the factual correctness or something like that. And also we limited the output, so it's numerical score from 1 to 100 or 1 to 10, and reasoning and some argumentation behind why the chatbot, for example, evaluated or have given the 100 or 10 or 0 for given entity or for given record that's being evaluated, and we got those metrics. Again, what we are also doing, we are doing the A/B testing with some users, like don't like button to gather quick feedback. Optionally, the users can the very limited set of users, because as I mentioned, this is the development phase. So some limited scope of user can share the feedback, and obviously we are doing some one-to-one usability session with those key stakeholders to analyze what they are doing and whether do like the output or not. Now a few words about observability. So what we gather user interactions, which are each user message that is being sent to chatbot we gathered for further analysis. Also the queries that is being generated also are and executed. along with success and failure status, and also some tool execution errors. Again, invalid SQL, failed tool calls, because I will explain in a moment. But essentially, you can have many tools and sometimes agent when the system is is too complex. Sometimes the agent could pick up wrong tool, and it helps us to debug and understand the chatbot behavior and thus increase the reliability and robustness. About the query engines, very briefly. We tested 3 query engines. I'm pretty sure all of the data people know those frameworks. So the first framework was the Panda, together with Python REPL. So we had this, let's call it REPL engine, and with the pandas library installed there, and this was our first let's say query engine. So the LLM generated pandas code, and it was really good on the medium or small data sets, but LLMs struggle in generating panda syntax. Also, the REPL tools are not always supported, so we decided to go for another options. Also, we test the Spark. It's relatively good, and it's relatively good. I mean, not relatively, it's actually excellent in handling terabytes or gigabytes of data. However, it takes some time to start, so it's not that much real time as we wish. And again, the last thing, the DuckDB. This is the fast and relatively lightweight in-process SQL engine. It can use vanilla SQL, and that was very important for us. And those SQL can be generated by the LLMs more accurately than the pandas or PySpark. And also DuckDB is not suited for the large scale or distributed data processing, but our data have the volume of megabytes of data. These are not gigabytes or terabytes of data. And this part was the most important for us, because the more exact query and the more exact query and more actually correct, let's call it like that, the better results we are getting from the tool we are using. And demo time. Hopefully it would work. Okay, so the UI is relatively poor, because as I mentioned, we don't develop UI, so it was, let's say, developed during few hours during the weekend, just to to be able to present it. I have few questions that I have prepared. Let me open them. I have all of them on my phone. And maybe let's start with the questions. What data sets can I ask for? No, not enter. I need to click generate again. And you can see that you have the profitability dataset, meeting dataset, and some customer dataset. What's next? Please give me the schema. And again, we have the schema together. One very important disclaimer that I didn't mention: all of those data have been generated, and any, let's say, naming similarities are accidental in terms of some customers, in terms of some products, and so on. So that's the very important disclaimer. We have built some tools that actually is able to generate that kind of data. But again, we have the schema. Also, what we have is some information what these are. How many records there is in profitability? A very simple aggregation query, and I can tell you that that's correct again. Okay, give me the most profitable customer in Q3 . Let's try some more complex question. So with provided also, I can ask him for please add the SQL that you use to generate this query. To answer this question. So the SQL query has been generated. Let me ask maybe about those different this another data set, namely the meetings. Maybe what queries I can ask about meetings dataset. That would be interesting, because we didn't know what is inside the meeting dataset. We can try to check out what's there. So meeting detail, find the meeting held by specific localization, reports, and so on. And for example, I can ask the question about list all dates of the meeting and their titles with customer. In this case, let's try with customer 1. Again, fake data, so we have all of those 3 meetings. Obviously, to present you that that's not kind of a fixed somehow, we can ask about different customers. Okay, please tell me which of these meeting has the biggest strategic impact for sales, for business development. And also we please add justification of your choice. So here is the justification. Planning session, future financial goals and opportunities with customer 1. And here is the justification, the biggest strategic impact, because it focuses on long-term planning and setting the future financial goals. Strategic planning sessions are crucial for aligning the company objectives and the customer needs, and so on. The funny thing, actually, I didn't test it, but maybe, you know, how does the LLMs works, right? It should be able to answer the questions regardless the language. So maybe we can try out Polish. did John say? So what I tried to ask about number of records in database, in profitability database. And anyone remembers the number? Mm-hmm. So that's quite yeah. So that worked. Uh, okay, going back to the presentation. Uh, Again, the disclaimer. Uh, uh, Data are entirely fictional, has been generated for demonstration purposes. Other resemblance to real individuals, organization, or event is purely coincidental. That's really important remark. Yeah, that should be demo here. And what's beyond the production? What would be the next step that we are planning actually? Uh, and there is few of them. The first obviously is authentication, because the access to the data should be limited. I mean, the situation where some person needs to have should have the access to all the data is relatively is relatively rare. So we need to limit the scope of the data over which certain users are able to operate and provide this secure and fine-grained access to the data and our underlying data systems. Obviously, we are considering some new data sources integration. It requires building obviously custom data pipelines. Another step is further data science work, because you see there are new problems. For example, advanced trends analytics. How does the profitability change over years, over some events, over different things? Discovery of these cross-selling opportunities, and so on. And here we hope, or we believe, that this multi-agent architecture can solve a lot of problems, a lot of our let's say bottlenecks. Obviously, the engineering maturity is always a big thing, because without some certain decision, you are not able to scale and to provide reliable software. As you can notice, this is not the simple data science project anymore, or is not becoming. It's becoming kind of a application that can provide some value to the users. Uh, and finally, the user event innovation. Once users would start using the app on the productions, once we would gather more and more the, let's say, interactions with the chatbot, we are able to identify new directions, new features, and do improvements, data-driven improvements, simply speaking. And each of this is quite of a big topic. Very interesting one is how to do authentication on such chatbots, because I believe maybe a few companies did it. But I'd like to focus on this data science works, because I want to kind of go towards this, because yeah, I feel that's the best way. That's the best option, the best option, and much more, and let's say it's the most interesting one. So how can we kind of boost this reasoning capabilities of the chatbot to be able to analyze, to do this trend analysis and reasoning? I've got a few ideas. The first of them, and most intuitive one, is this multi-agent setup. I will speed up a pace a bit because we have 15 minutes. In case of some question, I will leave, let's say, 10 minutes, maybe 5 minutes. We'll see. So you see, present single agent architecture has some limitations. For example, once the number of tools grow, once the complexity of the tasks grows, once the context, the prompt grows, the agent is not doing that well as we wish, because it lacks of specialization. It's the very similar way as we do as a team. So in order to build software, the team needs to be built with some people with certain specialization, right? Obviously the developers, obviously the analyst, obviously some person with the architectural skill, obviously some lead who is able to coordinate everything, and also there is a need for some DevOps who would deploy this. In the very similar way, agents works. to be able to do its work properly, we need agents, individual agents with some certain specialization being coordinated in the proper way. So multi-agent systems address those limitations. These are modular. We can create agent with specific function. As I mentioned, it's not only the performance, I mean the specialization, but it's also easier to debug, to build, to extend, and to maintain. The specialization is kind of a derivative of this modularity, because we can separate them by the function, and finally the control. The such kind of architecture is able to us identify some pain points. Here are the different multi-agents architecture. This is the slide. This is the picture from the LangChain documentation or their GitHub. You can easily find it, very popular. And here is the target architecture that we are aimed to build. We have the free agents here, query synthesis, task execution, or query execution, response generator, orchestrator, and so on. And I was intentionally kind of went through this very quickly, because this is what you might find interesting. The enhancement kind of this multi-agent setup. And what comes in the next slides actually isn't useful for the chatbot only, but this is kind of it has the potential to enhance many tools, to boost the many tools, data-driven tools, and the frameworks like Spark, like DuckDB, like Delta Lake, and whole ecosystem that is being built about them by integrating the LLM capabilities into those, let's say, very traditional data focused tool. And you remember, I believe, this text to SQL approach, right? There is this query synthesis, query execution, query generation, and by combining those, by executing those steps sequentially, we are able to get this answer. And some time ago, I came across this very interesting paper. It's called Tabular-Augmented Generation. It has been actually, one of the co-authors is Matei Zaharia. You know them probably, because this is one of the founding father. Actually, this is the founding father of Spark. But what is this? What is this? If you kind of open the paper, you can see the very same steps. Here you can see that it's described in quite the details. The query synthesis, query execution, and then answer generation. But if you zoom in, you would see, if you zoom in to this query synthesis thing, you would notice that this is kind of a SQL-like syntax. But if you would be really careful, you will see this is not exactly SQL, because you have this LLM thing here. And what is this? This is the call to the LLM. So LLM is able to do different operations like filtering, aggregation, joins over some word knowledge that it has. This query thing has two components, again, SQL, obviously, and this semantic filtering. And what is those semantic filtering or semantic queries, actually? And again, it has been published in another research paper called Lotus. So let me explain what it is. Let's assume that there is some data set which holds the data about different articles and research papers. It holds the name of the research paper, some ID, and maybe even some abstract. So we don't know we are not able to kind of force SQL query engine, standard SQL query engine, to do some sentiment analysis, whether it's positive or not, or do some factual checking. With this semantic queries and this Lotus framework and the stack model, we are able to kind of empower this SQL capabilities, or these capabilities of these different tools with this word knowledge. And actually, I'm quite interested if this will be the direction of future development of Spark. since the Mahtei Zakaria is one of the authors, and it's quite interesting thing. But there is one problem with it. It's not production ready. I mean, yeah, it is not production ready. Hopefully someone would do such thing. I really believe that in let's say this Databricks company maybe, or some Spark related organization, they are heavily experimenting with this because of the authors. There are some, let's say, some traces that I believe let us believe, or let us have this intuition that that would be the direction of Spark in the future. But you see, we can do some what if consideration, and this is how the architecture could look like of this multi-agent architecture could look like with this stack capabilities. It's very similar. There is some model either trained or somehow guided towards being able to not only do text to SQL but also the semantic queries. The same goes for the execution, right? We might need this semantic query tool, and a part of this, the architecture is very similar. So I have this temptation to try it out, but for now we don't have resources. I mean, the priorities are, let's say, and the deadlines are quite tight, but maybe in the future we would be able to go towards that direction. And the GitHub repository, if someone is interested in that, in checking out that thing, how does it work, yeah, please feel free. Okay, summing up, because the time is going to till the end, and as well the conference. So LLM powered use cases are still largely unexplored. We don't know how to do it. There is no playbook. We can only kind of rely on our experience and, let's say, the capabilities to reason and think about some and learn, obviously, from not the books but rather documentation, maybe some videos, and try to combine different concepts. The best way to learn about this is to build, and by experimenting make those progress. So this real progress can be achieved through experimentation, not kind of some perfection, trying to build something which is state of the art, because I believe that at this very moment there is no still state of the art. The collaboration with business has been and will be always important, and we engineers always do not kind of underestimate it, but at the end, this is why we are in our jobs, to provide the value for the business. And if you want to do it, we need to have this really close cooperation loop. And maybe something more generic, but Gen AI and its application in real world can change our life. So it's better to adapt. Like there was this Chinese saying, right? March or die. So it's better to march than die, I believe. If you want to contact me, you can find me on LinkedIn. Feel free to ask and to contact me if you only wish. If I would be able, then I will help. Some sources: text to SQL, right? Tag paper, obviously the Lotus framework, something about React. This is related to this agent thing. Llama index documentation, because this is the main library we are using, and the really good explanation of Henrik Kniberg, actually, I believe, on his video, or what the function calling is. But actually, he is the guy who is explaining in a really good visual way lots of GenAI concepts. Thank you. And if there are any questions, I will be more than happy to answer.
There is one question from the online. Taking into consideration that you work in the financial institution, do you on daily basis work test this what you've shown on the cloud or on premise?
This is deployed on cloud. This is deployed on cloud, but there are some models for some certain purposes that are actually, let's say, hosted on on-premise environment. This particular is on cloud.
Okay. Any questions from the audience?
So I understand, as you've talked about before, that the initial validation was done manually, but then you've moved on to like bot-based evaluation. So I have a question kind of like with two parts. First, in conceptual terms, does it make sense? It seems a little bit like asking a student to grade their own paper instead of going to the teacher. But I just wanted to hear your opinion. And the follow-up to that is what would be the policy regarding the choice of the language model? Like, do you use the same language model as the one that originally produced the result? Maybe specifically you choose a different one, or maybe one of them is the best in that kind of work?
Okay, I will start with the second one. I don't know which model is best. The large language model have these capabilities to generalize really well, especially large language models with billions of parameters. And since it understands the context, right, and it understands some facts and semantics of the language, it can easily check whether some facts actually agree or not. That is the very, especially if you provide the facts that you are expecting, and also it's good always to ask for this reasoning, right, behind the decision. Given that I believe that you can be somehow sure that this is correct, and this LLM evaluation is a must, because if you want to prototype experiment quickly, you need to automatize different things, right? And at the end, of course, LLM can make some errors, but we humans also can. So that's kind of a psychological barrier that we need to overcome. Did I answer on both questions? Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions?
Maybe a very specific one. How do you format the response from the tools to the LLM so it understands the data and can make like nice formatted response out of it?
How do I format
the response from the tool? So you get like an SQL query, you execute it, and you get some SQL response. And how do you need to format it as a text to LLM, right?
Yes.
So how do you format it? Is it a CSV or a JSON, or does it matter really?
No. This is actually the number, right? Because what the tool returns is a number, right? Like if you are or some set of numbers. If it's like table,
so you're
right?
only expecting like small table, but if you get like could you like somehow end up with like a multi-dimensional table?
Probably you can, but we didn't test such scenarios yet. That's the danger. Obviously
So like
I understand. So you cannot
date customer and number. Date customer and number.
Yes, exactly. So we don't want to do data preprocessing here, right? And that kind of complex or let's say multi-dimensional outputs, when there is many dimensions and few metrics, are always the result of some data preprocessing or data preparation. This is not what we aim for. We aim for the specific, let's say, as much specific as it's possible outputs. And it happens that the nature of the output is rather limited. Sometimes it's 10, sometimes it's 5, very rarely 100. Some of those are, but that's the intuition, right? And then somehow findings based on what we achieved for now. Maybe in the future we would be able, and based on those observations that we would gather once the app would go to the production, I would be able to answer this question more reliably.
Okay, thank you. We have space for one more question.
Yeah, I was wondering regarding the questions that you ask to the model, and when you are thinking about the production, will you allow users to ask any question about those financial data, or will you protect?
Okay, so
keep
this is
those questions are not allowed because those
Uh,
data are.
this is excellent question. So obviously, no, I mean this is really good question and quite a concern. Uh, you see, the best scenario for us would be to guide the users and train them to be able to understand the limitations of the chatbot. In the future, obviously, we might consider having these limitations, as you mentioned, that there is some intermediate prompt that evaluate whether it's the question that we support or not, but this very first version will not have this. But this is the true concern, because as you mentioned, the quality of the way the question has been formulated impacts on the output. And if the account managers won't be having the properly formatted questions, the quality of of the responses also might drop significantly. So, but that's the really good question, and you identified the problem quite well.
I also noticed that I sometimes ask LLM about some numerical numbers. I just drop some surveys and summarize it, count the average, and I noticed that LLMs have sometimes problems with simple math.
Yes,
and
of course.
You've got a lot of financial data, so you need to be exact to the point.
Yes. Yes.
So did you also somehow test it, review it, and?
It's sometimes hard to figure out, the dummiest question, right? I don't want to say that the users of this chatbot are not experienced or so on, but maybe what we need to do, we have to observe the interactions for a while, and then based on those interactions, we would be able to address some of those problems. That's sorry, but the stage is too early to kind of Yes, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.